Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, the volley. Less is more. Has anybody ever told you that? Well, I got Coach Mike Downs to teach us and simplify the volley. Stay tuned. Guys, are you tired of playing against the ball machine? Ball machine always wins, and you're not really getting any interaction with people. How about playing with somebody at your level, or maybe a little bit better than you, that can improve your game? There's 27,000 people nationwide waiting for you to play with. It's all at playyourcourt.com. You can find your new tennis friend, join local leagues, all for less than $5 a month. You'll have access to players at your level, your speed, and make some new tennis friends. Check it out at playyourcourt.com/tennis spin. Link is below. All right, got Coach Mike Downs with me today. Coach, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the volley. I hear you are the person to go to to simplify the stroke. What is your philosophy with the volley?
So I'd like to think of the volley as a very basic shot. Keep it simple, short takeaway, little or no swing, high to low, make solid contact out in front.
All right, so everybody, it's like they want to do this, right? They think it's a forehand at the net. How do we prevent people from wanting to swing and using other parts of the body? Like I've always heard the phrase less is more. How do you even instill that into people?
So the secret is that it's very key to get the racket above the ball. Mm-hmm. And so we can have, unlike a lot of strokes, we can have a consistent takeaway. So the racket can come back to the same spot on both the forehand and the backhand for any volley. Mm-hmm. So if I take it back here, I can drop down and hit the ball here. I can take it back here. If the ball's up, I go up a little higher and come down. But the key is I want to be above the ball, swinging down to the ball and stopping at or just after impact. Don't want a lot of follow through. Don't want to have a lot of variance in the racket face.
I see. So let's start with the grip. What kind of grip should we have?
So I've thought a lot about this. So I hold what I consider a continental grip, but it's really kind of in between an Eastern forehand and a full continental grip. And the reason for that is I can get a lot of racket face under the ball on the low shots. So it makes lower balls much easier, but it also makes it easier to move the grip a little bit if I need to on the backhand volley, if I'm using a one-handed backhand volley. If you get too far over to the forehand grip, it's tougher to get under the low balls, and then you're gonna have to do a much bigger change to the backhand and get a nice square face.
So it's essentially just not even a bevel over, huh? It's just ever so slight.
Ever so slight, yeah. Okay.
Now what about the infamous V? Like holding it like this versus like this.
Good. So I definitely like to have, I call it like an L, more of an L shape. And the reason I like the L shape is that when I take the racket back to the side, it's going to be away from my head. So one of the big problems I see in players is they'll take the racket back here. If it's in towards the head, you're going to end up swinging in the sideways. So if I come out here, keep the ball inside the racket, between the racket and my face, I can swing across the body and get a nice square contact.
Got it. Now, teach me. All right, so let's say I'm at the net. I'm going to grip it like so.
Perfect.
Okay.
So from the ready position, all we're going to do is we're going to bring the racket up and to the side in front of the body. Excellent. And notice how racket head is almost square with the hand. We're going to want to get the racket head a little bit faded back behind the hand. Almost like when you're hitting a hammer and a nail, you want the hammer head to move back, not the grip where you're holding the hammer handle. So you're going to go high to low. You're going to be above the ball. You're going to swing down to the ball and then level as you hit. So that way you're not chopping. It's just dropping and squaring up. And then no follow through. So let momentum from gravity start the swing, and then you're just going to make contact. That's
okay.
it. And then we add in the footwork or the step. Harry's turn was really good. So your left foot is ready to move. There are 3 reasons why we step. One is to add power, and one is to line up the shot. Lining up the shot means you want to turn to hit it in an opposite direction. So we're not going to use either of those. We're just going to use the step to get us closer to or further away from the ball. So we track the ball with our feet, drop down, go to the ball. Ball's at us, step to the side, go to the ball. So we're not changing the stroke at all. We're moving into position so we can keep the same basic swing.
Got it.
Now there are going to be times when you can't do that and you just got to kind of wing it. But
got it. Now, so if the ball is low, we keep this and then we get down.
Yes, so there's 2 things that will happen. The racket is naturally going to drop as we drop, and then if we haven't dropped enough, then we can drop the whole arm as a unit. So we're not dropping the racket head, we're dropping the whole arm as a unit, and that will allow us to get under the ball.
Now what's your left hand doing?
So I use my left hand as a balancing tool, so it moves to the side, so I'm almost like I'm surfing, and so I keep good balance. Also, it stays out of the way of the shot. A lot of players will make the mistake of getting the hand here, and then they have to swing to avoid the arm, and that's going to cause problems.
Now, the most important thing, what are your eyes doing? Like, what is your head doing? Everybody, like, is so afraid of, like, oh, I'm going to get hit by the ball.
Right.
Oh.
So I like to keep my head at that 45-degree angle. I'm tracking with my eyes. When the ball comes in really tight, fast, your head's not going to be able to go back and forth with the ball. So we track with the eyes. We keep the head still. And you actually might, if you hit the ball late, you might not even see the ball. You're just putting together the path of the ball with the racket. But when you're out in front, you can keep that head still and track it until you'll see a good contact into the strings.
Okay, now let's go with the backhand. On the backhand, we just ever so slightly do this. Now, what does that look like as a stroke?
Good.
What's my left hand doing? What's my feet doing?
So what I would emphasize for newer players is I would think of this left arm. I would try to get that up to shoulder level, okay? So that, you notice how my arm is level. That gets the racket up at a higher point than it would if the elbow is down. And then what I want is the racket to, the bottom of the racket to go forward to the ball and drop. So that keeps the racket face square, but slightly open. So that means when we drop to lower balls, we can open more to get more loft to get it over the net.
So we're constantly keeping either an L or a V then, constantly.
Yes. Yes.
Like it's difficult, I mean, to teach people to understand that this needs to happen, not this.
Right.
Right. Why is it important to do this?
So there's a couple reasons. One, it increases your leverage and creates a more stable hitting area. And then also it allows for a cleaner, less variance in the hit. So if we drop this way, it's going to chop the ball too much. The other thing is when we shape balls, so when we get into going down line or cross court on volleys, with the racket in this position, we can use our wrist. So if I want to go more cross court, I'm going to bend my wrist in this manner, and then I'm going to carve around the outside of the ball to shape it back cross court. If your racket's like this, it's tougher to do that. You can't shape this way. You can do it. But I see a lot of newer players, they get taught to do a big grip change and they're punching. And that's going to be great and strong on a ball that's right here. But balls low and balls up here trying to shape them are almost impossible.
Got it. Now, how tight are we gripping the racket?
So that's a good question. So I'm more of a firm grip person than a lot of players that are very loose grips, okay? So one thing, you have to maintain full surface area contact with your hand. When the ball hits off center, it's going to spin the racket unless you've got that whole hand on top of the grip. What I do is I have a fairly firm grip because I believe that you've got to be very quick back and then quick forward. So you can't do that, try it with 2 fingers. You can't do that. That would be a loose grip. So what I do is firm grip, but then back, and then as I hit, that's when I really squeeze the racket. Because again, if it comes really fast, you've got to stabilize. Now, talking about touch volleys, okay? Touch volleys, players think, oh, I've got to use soft hands on this. Well, really it's soft hands, yes, but it's a firm enough grip that you can take the racket face slightly away from the ball and diffuse the pace. So you're literally carving the ball on the back, underside, or the side of the ball to take pace away and drop it short. So if you do that with a really soft grip, it will be less precise.
Got it. Okay, let's try some. Let's start from like the easiest level, like I'm just learning volleys. All right, Coach Mike, where do I stand?
So when I start out with a new player, I'm going to start them a little bit closer than halfway between the service line and the net.
Okay.
So that's a good spot there. Reason why we don't want to be right on top of the net is they'll be encouraged to kind of slam the ball down. From back there, they're going to have to make sure that they learn the racket face correctly.
Okay. What's my stance?
So feet about shoulder width apart. Okay. Everyone's different in where they feel comfort level. Sometimes I'll see people a little bit further out so that way when they bend their knees, they're a little more stable.
Okay.
But about shoulder width apart. And then again, that ready position with the continental-ish grip and then the left hand on the throat. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to toss you to the forehand. I want you to just go up and to the side and straight out. So when I tell players straight out, generally the racket's going to drop with gravity anyway, or they'll track the ball naturally. But getting them to go straight out will give them a more solid hit.
Am I leading with the hand? Am I leading with the hand?
You want to lead with the hand.
Got it.
Lead with the hand. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Good. Good. I like the way you tracked with your left foot. That's perfect. And that's exactly what we're looking for. You're going to the ball. Good. Nice. Notice that one dropped a little lower and you were able to adjust by opening the face. And I usually go a little bit higher with my feeds. So that way they adjust. Now, if you look at that one, that racket face was open and you kind of came up a little bit. So remember, we always want to be coming down. So you might want to close the face just a smidge.
Got it.
Perfect. Nice. Now we're going to go to feed. All right. Looks good. Good. Level that racket. There. That's perfect. Good. Good. Now I want you to try this for me. I want you to try to stop right as you make impact.
Okay.
Perfect. Good. Do it again. Perfect. Now notice that gives you a more consistent rise on the ball. A lot of times, better players do this, is they will follow through up after they hit.
Right.
It kind of emphasizes that racket face opening, which is a good thing. Most pros do that. But the key thing is you don't want to follow through too much. And so that's why stopping on impact is a good training aid.
Stopping at the ball actually made a more solid hit too. I heard it and I felt it.
Yeah.
Like I had more ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
So going back to that nail and hammer analogy, when you hammer a nail, you don't fall through into the wood.
Right.
But by stopping that hammer head before it goes in the wood, it actually gives you more velocity into the nail head. And that's why it's easier to hammer in. So same thing, you are actually getting more velocity and more of a solid hit when you stop on that impact.
Got it.
Let's do a couple more and then we'll go to the backhand. Perfect. Good. And now let's try a couple low ones. So let's see how you do dropping down as you go there. Good. All right. So that one, I thought your body got down. I'd like to see the left leg do more of a lunge. And then I try to get to have everything drop with it, but then level the swing as you go forward to the ball. Good. Perfect. That was it. Very nice. Do one more. Good.
Ooh.
So now this is where I call the trampoline. So when you get really low, so something's almost impossible to get back, all you're doing is you're trying to put the racket down underneath the ball like a trampoline and stop there. And what that'll do is the ball will go back up in a similar line that the ball was coming down. So if the ball was over the net, it's going to go back over the net.
Got it.
Let's try one more like that. See if I can get a really tough feed. Perfect. There you go. Excellent.
Right.
Good.
Now, what if it's high? Now, everybody wants to slam the high ones.
Right. So high balls are what I call decision-making balls. So when the ball goes up above, so if the racket comes back at shoulder height, hands at shoulder height, so the racket's above my head already. So 90% of all volleys are going to be above his height. So if the ball's above that, number one, you've got to track the ball.
Right.
Okay, because if it's got any velocity, it's going to go over your head, so you've got to track back. Okay, and if it's not, if it's in front of you, you've got to set, and then you've got to go and get the ball before it drops below a certain point, because you don't want to let you want to take advantage of the high volley.
Right.
You don't want to let it drop below the net. So where players have the most problem are the ones that are high ground strokes or really low lobs, where the ball is actually still rising a bit as it gets to them. So those ones you have to take a couple steps back, and then you've got to try and raise the racket up to whatever level the ball is. And on those, you're not going to try and hit down on. You're just going to try to put the ball back in play by making contact.
Got it.
Want to try one?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, nice. Good. Okay, that one's lower. Come in a little closer.
Oh.
Coming tighter. Make it a little tougher. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Very nice. So notice that one I gave you not only over your head, but over behind you. So you had to track this way as well.
Right. That's when your legs come into play. Okay. Not every volley is coming right to you. Okay.
Yes. And that's a key thing that is very important about volleys, is that you want to get that racket back quickly, because that's the first thing you know. You know you're either getting a forehand or backhand volley. But as the ball moves towards you, you have more information, more data. So you've got to track that ball constantly until you get the right shot. The other thing about it, if you get your racket back, you don't have to think about the stroke anymore. Now you can just think about the movement and what position you're in.
Now, the one that makes everybody panic is the guy just blast one hard as they can. Now it's like time, no time now. So what do we do? What do we do? Anything different?
So when you're playing someone who has that capability, you want to always be on guard, and you want to remember your racket can be a shield to protect you. So we want to keep that racket in front. It's much easier to shield from the backhand side, because the backhand, we can go up and down in front of us and still have clearance with the arm. But if the ball comes, if we take it as a forehand, the body can get in the way and it's tougher to protect. So if you're getting someone who hits really hard, make sure that you're kind of sitting in the backhand for prevention. Okay, so when I'm at the service line and I've got a guy who likes to poach, I always sit kind of in my backhand volley position, so I'm ready for that ball to come to me. And then if you do have to take it as a forehand, just remember you're going to go quick, keep the hand in front, and then turn to the side. So that way you move your body out of the way while still maintaining the same posture and correct positioning for your forehand volley.
Got it. So we don't need to adjust anything. We're just preparing a little faster, keeping our racket in front. Just because it's coming faster doesn't mean you have to swing harder. That's what everybody thinks. Like, all you have to do is use that speed that's coming at you and just use it against them.
A lot of players will automatically go back further, thinking I want to crush the volley, okay? If I go here with my takeaway super fast and the ball comes slow, I can take it back further because I'll have time to do that. But if I take the racket back here and the ball comes right at my head, I'm going to have a hard time getting that racket to protect. So.
Right. Okay.
And we're going to start in the same ready position. Good. Good. Now I'd like to see that left arm come up just a little bit higher so you can use a little more gravity to help your pace.
Got it.
And then remember to stop on impact. Good. Oops. Nice. That had a nice stick. Good. Now notice that one, your takeaway was high, but I fed the ball lower on purpose. So you still were able to get there and make solid contact. Very good. Nice. Good. Now that time I fed a little wider, so you want to make sure you try and get that foot down a little faster. In other words, get to the ball a little sooner and then make your swing.
Got it.
Nice. Good. So you're understepping with your right leg. Everyone has a side that they don't stride as long or as accurate. So you're kind of going here, and then the back leg is coming through as you hit. So try to stride out a little further if you need to. If it's not that far, you don't have to.
Got it.
But these ones are pretty far away. Good. That was nice, good. Let's try and see if you can stop on the hit and be balanced when you're done. Good. Try not to run through it. There you go, nice. See, that made the hit a lot more solid.
Right.
So what happens is if there's a lot of extraneous movement or body movement, that as you're hitting, it's going to take away from the impact of the shot.
Got it. So you're trying to brace as almost like a wall then, right? Versus what I'm trying to do, or what I was trying to do, is kind of hit it and then continue. We want to take it with all the force like a wall.
Yes.
Right? And then stop right there. And
so especially when I'm working with newer players or beginners, I want them to be very stable when they hit to get that feeling, okay? I described to them, we want the body and the footwork to help the shot and not get in the way of it. Now, as we get better, let's say we're doing a poach, okay? And we're hitting a backhand poach. So we can use extra velocity on that poach. So two things are gonna happen. We're gonna move more towards the net, and we're gonna step as we hit. That's gonna effectively double the velocity of our swing, and it's gonna make a better hit. But you have to be able to coordinate, because if you miss-hit the ball, or you don't time the hit like we're doing when we're stable, then you're not gonna hit as hard.
Right, got it.
All right, a couple more?
Yep.
Good. Nice, good. You could have stepped a little closer. There you go, nice.
Got it,
Good
so
job
stride, I get it.
So this is a lot tougher than the forehand side, because the forehand side, we've got the whole palm of the hand behind the racket. So on these ones, what I try and do is I just try to track the ball like I've got a fishing net or a butterfly net, and I try to get in position so I could actually catch it, and then I just kind of tap the ball.
Got it.
That's it.
Okay.
So let's see if I can feed one that makes it tough for you.
Where am I standing?
So you're starting a little tight because they're not going to lob you when you're back.
Okay.
All right, ready? Turn, track. Good, that was an easy one. Let's go a little harder. Turn back. Good. And one more, really tough. Turn. Good, that's it. So make sure you turn, because the key thing is your feet then will be going in the direction of the ball, and it makes you a little faster. And then you'll be able to just stabilize and hit.
Got it.
Do one more. That was too hard. Too aggressive.
Maybe 20 years ago, Mike.
Turn, you got that one. That's it, good. So notice you don't want to overswing on those. Those are just make the racket meet the ball, use the velocity. And if it were doubles, let's say you were moving in behind your partner, you'd hit that ball high and loft on the down the line, which would keep it away from the other player who's at net coming in.
Got it. Anything else to simplify any of this?
No, it looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else do you teach? So what if I'm a little better? What if I'm intermediate now? I'm having problems with, like I'm constantly doing this because I don't trust to do this. It's just my natural, self-defense system, let's say.
So everyone has fear reactions to shots. So players on overheads, if they're used to the ball dropping over their head, they're going to shrink when they're about to hit. So I teach them to keep the ball in front to the right. For volleys, similar, we've got to teach a more high-end method of getting out of the way. So specifically the footwork on when the ball's right at you, you've already set for a forehand, okay? So most players, what they'll do, so if you look at this line, let's say that's the ball coming at me. Most players will go like this, and then they'll go like that. They'll bring this leg out of the way. But the body is still now jammed up here, so we're gonna hit the ball like this.
Right.
So the key on these is to take the racket back to your spot, but then slide out of the way and then hit the ball. So that way you're balanced, you're now out of the way, and there's not gonna be that fear of the ball hitting your face.
Got it.
And notice how I always keep a slight bend in my arm. One of the common mistakes players make is they lock that elbow. Well, now if you lock the elbow, it cannot protect you inside. You can't get to the inside ball. So you've got to keep a slight bend to it. And whenever I say slight bend, you don't want to go like this either.
Right.
You just want to be nice and relaxed. Keep it flexible so that you can adjust.
Got it. Let's try a couple of those, actually.
Okay. All right, here we go. Nice, good. So that was good. That was kind of in between. You were about to kick that leg around, but you slid out. That was
Right.
nice. Very key. Nice. I like that. Very good. Yep, there we go. Good. Nice. That was the toughest one. Very good.
Yeah.
So you can see I was feeding that last one on this side of the line, and you were still able to get out of the way of it.
And that's when the bent elbow helped, because if I had a straight elbow, there's no way I would have gotten there.
No
so
way.
the bent elbow actually helped me tuck. Right.
The other thing I would say, and this is very important, so if you're going to get good at volleying, you practice patterns and you practice these type of moves without a ball. So you can do this in front of a mirror. You can do this in front of, on your backyard, even in your living room, as long as there's not a lot of breakables around.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how about this on the backhand side? You know, what if I'm not, like backhand is what I fear.
Okay.
Because it's not natural for a lot of people to hit it this way. How do you make it more natural?
So, so that's a good question. So a lot of the problem with backhands is players try to do things to make the shot have more velocity.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things they do is that they'll change the grip over and they'll do flippers. So this is kind of like, I call this a catapult swing. So if you catch the ball on the upswing, you're going to launch it long. If you catch it on the downswing, you're going to catch it in the net. If you catch it right here, you're going to stick it. But that's a hard thing to do. So I try to get those players just to get confident with that higher takeaway and just hit the ball solidly to start. And that's their building block from there. We're going to build speed from that. We'll add pace from the step, and then we'll make the lead arm a little stronger as we hit.
Got it.
The other problem with players that, like, if the ball is coming at them, they'll tend to kind of go like this with their wrist, they'll chop. So again, just getting them to simplify, turn, and just block, that's a good project. And then of course there's players that just have trouble with the one hand,
Mm-hmm.
and then you want to teach them the second hand, the left hand, how to hit a volley with the left hand on.
I've never done that before. Let's try a couple with the one, and then let's try a few with the two.
Okay, so let's do this first. Let's teach you the two-hander and show you the benefits and the weaknesses to that.
Okay.
So first of all, one of the benefits is because you're going to use the left hand as a striking hand.
So am I doing this essentially?
You're going to do essentially the same stroke as your right-handed forehand.
Okay.
So you want to keep a bend in your elbow. There you go. And then you're going to bring the racket up and above. There you go. So see how you bent it a lot more?
Right.
Okay, now the right hand doesn't have to go to a backhand grip. It can stay in your forehand grip or forehand volley grip.
Okay.
So whatever, there you go.
Essentially that.
So yeah, so now the racket's going to go up, and both now the left hand is at shoulder height, and then the racket face you can adjust with the left hand. So if you want to get more of a carving shot, you'll go like this, or more of a square shot, you'll go like that.
Right.
Okay, and then keep that flexibility in that elbow, and then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to drop and carve. So it's like a left-handed forehand volley, but we're choked up, and then that way also we can drop down to the low ones and carve them.
Wow, this is all new for me.
Yeah.
Okay, this
So
is literally like teaching a beginner.
This is like a beginner. That's right.
So
So
do
get that
one
left
first.
hand on. Good. So let's draw the racket hand back. Left. Good. There you go.
I feel like doing that.
That was perfect. So now keep the right hand on for stability,
Okay.
and now keep the floppiness out of it.
Got it.
Good. Nice.
Oops, sorry.
Good. That's it. Good. Now you took your left hand off as you were taking the racket back. So left hand on this shot should never come off.
Okay.
So make sure that's the lead, that's the boss.
Got
Make
it.
sure the right hand stays on, but kind of defers to the left hand. There you go. Good. Nice. I like that. Good. Excellent. Good. There's two reasons why I teach this, is because it's much more basic and consistent, repeatable, and solid. And the other one is that it's not like a two-handed ground stroke backhand.
Mm-hmm.
So when players, a lot of times I start teaching the two-hander, they start taking the racket back down here, and then it becomes more like their ground stroke stroke.
Right.
Now we may want to develop, if you're going to use a two-handed back volley, you might learn how to do a swinging volley
Mm-hmm.
in order to incorporate that on, mid-court balls or balls that are floating up there.
Right.
But in this case, you want to make sure that, you know, you have something distinct. So that, let's say they come in off of a backhand approach, they're going to switch now into volley mode and not be thinking that swinging volley.
Got it. Got it. Cool. Let's try some ones now. Back to my natural.
Yes, good. So let's go back and forth between the two. Okay. So forehand, backhand. So left hand up here. We're going to do one hand backhand?
One hand backhand.
Good. All right. So here we go. So back there. Go there. Perfect. Nice reaction. Good. That's it. Good. Excellent. So I love how so Harry's doing the split step right before every feed I give him. That's very important because it allows you to balance. So when he doesn't know the pattern, he's going to be able to react quickly to that shot. Good. And split. Good. Excellent. Perfect. Very good.
Nice.
So the other thing that came to mind, we were talking about for higher end players. So serving and volleying or approaching from the backcourt and coming in. So one of the most important parts of that is how you move forward, how you get in position, and incorporating the split step to get in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could do a couple of serve and volleys and try that out.
Okay.
So if we're going to serve and volley for doubles, we want to get to a certain spot on the court. We don't want to, you know, kind of gauge it based on the return because we won't have that information in enough time.
Right.
So we want to get to a spot. So you must have a reasonable goal, but usually it's somewhere just behind the service line. That's where we're going to do our split step.
Got it.
So you can think of it like a frog trying to go across a river. It's trying to get to a lily pad that's there. It's going to kind of launch itself to get on the lily pad. So I'm just going to go nice, easy serve because I'm not warmed up. But I'm going to come out of my serve, come forward, and split step. Okay? So that way I get to that point, I've come out in the court, and I've got enough court coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'll use a counting technique just to do my timing. But the faster you count, the shorter your steps. The longer you count, the longer your strides.
Got it.
And then, you know, the longer the timing, the further you'll get out. So I'll do it again. I'll probably lose the mic again. Boom.
Got it.
And so this way from here, I can split step and go forward to the volley over here, or even in front. Nice. Perfect. I love that. So again, we're both kind of similar pace forward. You know, we work to build that if we can, but that's fine. You can get to there. That's within striking distance. And most players will return the ball fairly deep. Mm-hmm. If they land it short, then you just take it as a half volley or you switch around and hit a ground stroke.
Right. I see a lot of people actually almost running through the volley.
Yeah.
So I strike it, I come, I track the ball, and then I literally, as I run, do that.
Right.
What is that all about?
So the problem with that is a lot of times they make the wrong decision and they're off foot. So they might be like this and then trying to hit with the backhand volley, or like this, trying to hit the forehand volley. So it's just going to throw off your stability and make that first volley a little less accurate. Mm-hmm. But you can still do that. And it does get you in net quicker.
Right.
It does get. Another thing along those lines is, you know, we were talking about, you know, practicing your footwork. Mm-hmm. So I actually do, when I'm training for something, I usually practice all my steps. So I'll go, you know, step across, I'll do step forward, and then I'll do wrong steps. So I'll go wrong step forward, wrong step this way, and then so that way I'm practicing all the possible things I'm going to do when I'm playing, because a lot of times your feet are wrong. So right. You got to be able to still hit the volley and keep your upper body separate from the lower body.
Got it. Well, Mike, thank you so much for the lesson. I hope the viewers out there, you know, appreciate how this was taught to you in a more basic, simple way. I know that a lot of people teach it in various different ways, but I feel like this was the easiest to learn from all the years that I've watched you. That's why we have Mike here today teaching you. So thank you, Mike, so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Are you on Instagram or anything?
I am.
We'll figure it out and we'll share it with you.
Awesome.
Okay? Guys, thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.